Hey, this is Mushtaq. Welcome back to another video on DevSpaces Hackathon number 2. The goal is to implement most impactful extensions. For this, I have created two extensions based on two of my previous projects. One is the archex, the architecture expert, and the other is uh, De facto language server platform. I'll talk about each of these individually. This is going to be a very short video, hope so, in 5 minutes. So what's the problem that archex solves? That is, it finds architectural issues in a given code base and suggests refactoring to fix the issue. In a long term, it improves the maintainability of the code base so you can add new features and fix issues faster. There are about 10 architectural rules that it implements, such as feedback dependency, entanglement, etc. And it is visualized through something called a dependency structure matrix. Now let's quickly look at how would something like that looks like, right? I'll talk about dependency structure matrix in a brief, and then I'll talk about what it does. Just now I launched the archex command, and once the archex command is run within about a minute or so, even if it's largest code base, it will be scanned and the report is presented to you. Let's look at the, okay, we'll come back in a minute there. So this is something called a DSM. It describes the dependency between various layers in your application. There are so many layers that your application has, and you can see what are the violations that can occur here. There can be sometimes feedback dependency. For example, these are feedback dependency. There are sometimes cyclic dependency where two different packages are entangled together, etc. So the exact nature and description of the issues and so on, you can go through the glossary section and understand the issues in a much greater detail. Moving on to the second part, which is the next thing, the archex de facto language server platform. So what is it, right? It connects your IDE to the cloud part, code analysis and refactorings. How does it do it? Using language server protocol. And it's a platform which comes with an SDK to build intelligent extensions for VS Code. And what you can further do is get code graph and cap into the git pod, atom, VS Code, etc. Let's quickly look at what are the various components here and how does a language server work. Right, so here we have the platform and APIs, and let's quickly see how do these things work. So we have a language client that launches a local language server, and it instantiates a remote mirror of a workspace which has the snapshots of your code base, which are periodically captured based on the files opened and changed. And analysis are triggered and diagnostics are fetched and published. Let's quickly see how this would look like inside a Git pod. So here I'll close this preview. Here I have a language server running. So if I open a file, for example, constants.java, uh, what happens is a couple of actions here. So we can see at the very bottom here that the file got opened and the file is uploaded, the files fetched. Let's quickly look at this in a systematic way. So this is the sequence of operations that happens. Like the server starts here, a remote workspace is created for you and configured. Diagnostics are diagnostic rules are loaded, and and then you have your snapshots uploaded, diagnostics triggered, fetched, published, and so on. So the end result of all of these language server and so on is that you get a list of problems described here. For example, here I have used the Sandymets app to describe the issues in the code base, such as the number of parameters, methods, etc. Uh, so that is about diagnostic apps which bring a cap and code graph into DevSpaces. And here is the demo Sandymets app with some rules. So quickly, the challenges that I'm facing in this are, I can't yet develop extensions that easily with Gitpod, and the roadmap is to have DevSpaces integrated with cap and code graph. That brings in a lot of power with all the fixes like duplicate code, long method fixes, BRP. There are over 5,000 rules. So that's the value proposition here. So it's a cloud powered insight that gets into your uh, Gitpod. And I think I pretty much managed to cover it in 5 minutes. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching the video.